the structural element of this, that there just isn't the support that top managers need?
I don't know what's going on, but since the Sir Alex Ferguson left, I saw not evolution in the club. The progress was zero. For example, we have an interesting point that how the club as Manchester United, after Ole, they bring sport directive Ralph Rangnick, which is something that nobody understands. This guy is not even a coach. A bigger club like Manchester United bring sport directive. Surprised not only me, but all the world, you know.
Well, it was a ridiculous decision, wasn't it?
Of course, in my opinion, you have to be honest. If you're not even a coach, how are you gonna be the boss of Manchester United? It's something that I should see that Manchester is not followed, not the right way to reach successful like other teams, like for example Liverpool or Manchester City, Chelsea. They are one step behind or two because of this kind of mistakes. In my opinion, they should improve and change probably the staff or the people, the directives or presidents. I don't know who is the problem there, but
did it show a lack of ambition to you when they replaced Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who a lot of fans liked, but he obviously wasn't delivering the big titles that United wanted and were used to. But to a point, someone like Ralph Rangnick, I mean, I'd never heard of him. And I'm thinking if had you heard of him?
No, of course not.
You'd never heard of this guy?
Nobody. And the people who I speak, nobody knew it, who is him.
So. Suddenly did you call him the boss?
Of course. I respect. We have to call because he assumed the job. Regardless, all the coaches that I had in my career, I call them boss because if they assume the job, we have to call in that way. But in the end, deep inside me, I never saw him as a boss because I saw some points that I never agreed, and he stopped in the time as well. Because if you're not being a coach, the next 5 years, you're gonna lost the identity of to be a coach. So surprised me a lot. But in the same way, don't surprise me a lot because if you see the structures, they keep it the same. So the coaches didn't surprise me, but was a tough moment.
What was extraordinary was very quickly after Rangnick took over, it started briefing journalists that you weren't pressing enough and that maybe it would be a good idea if you moved on from the club. And I'm like, who is this guy? And why is he saying this to the man who's scoring the goals?
To be honest, Piers, it's something that I don't understand. It's the new coaches that coming around, they think they find the last Coca-Cola in the desert, which is I don't understand. The football there invents many years. So, but I respect any coach have a different approach, different opinions, different mentality, but kind of some points that you not agree. So I'm always like that in my life. I'm always been besides the best coaches in the world, Zidane, Ancelotti, Mourinho, Fernando Santos, Allegri. So I had kind of some experience because I learned from them. And when you see some coaches that they're coming, that they want to revolution the football, I not agree. I have my opinion. They agree or they disagree, but it's part of the business because in the end of the day, I'm in a club to win. And with my experience, I want to help, like always. And some coaches that don't accept. And, it's part of the job.
Did he know what he was doing, Rangnick, or not? At a club like United?
No, they don't. They knew the club very well, but they don't know the dimension of the club inside, the history of the club, which is for me surprised me even more, which is when the soccer Ole Solskjaer, you should bring a top manager, not sport director.
Did you think he was right to get rid of Solskjaer, or would you have kept him on?
Well, it's not. I love Solskjaer. I think he was a top person because what I keep inside my heart, it's the heart of the persons. And Oli for me is a top person. Coach, of course, he wasn't. He didn't look for what he wants. It's hard to assume after Sir Alex Ferguson, but I think he did a good job. For sure, he need more time, but I'm never doubt that he's gonna be a good coach in the future. But it was a good experience. I was so pleased to work with him, even a short period.
What about the younger players and specifically their mentality? Because it seemed to me, just from what I was reading, when you were originally at Manchester United as a young 18-year-old, that you had huge respect for the older players, the Keanes and these guys in the dressing room, and you would soak up their experience, their wisdom and so on. Did you get that same respect, do you think, from the younger players?
I don't mean that they don't respect the experienced players or the oldest players. I don't think that word is the best one, but they live in a different era. I can see my kid, they have 12 years old. The mentality, they are not the same. They are not suffer that.
What's the difference?
The anger. I think the anger. I think that they have the things more easily. Everything it's easily. They don't suffer. And I think they don't care. I don't mean only a few in Manchester United, but all the teams, all leagues in the world, the youngers, they are not the same of my generation. But we cannot blame them because it's part of the life, the new generation and the new technologies that avoid, they distract them for another thing. So, but they are not the same. They listen, but this is why we have 2 years. You listen from one side and they go away from another side. So don't surprise me, but in the same way, it's a little bit shame because if they have the best examples in front of your eyes and if they don't at least copy what you did for me, it's kind of weird because I remember when I was 18, 19, 20s, I'm always look to see the best players, Van Nistelrooy, Ferdinand, Roy Keane, and Giggs. This is why I have the successful that I have and longevity, because I take care of my body, my mentality, my head, because I see these guys and I learn from them.
When you try and give advice to these younger players, what do you say to them? What do you try and guide them to be like?
I think the best advice, I'm not the kind of guy to like to give advices. I prefer to be as example.
Yes.
Because I'm an example. I'm there every morning. I do the same stuff. I'm probably the first ones to arrive and the last ones to go out. I think the details speak for itself. So, because as I told you before, they listen one thing and in 2 minutes they already forgot and do it whatever they think it's better. This is why I say I like to lead by example. And some ones they follow me, not much, but
see, I just find that incredible. That if I was a young footballer and I had Cristiano Ronaldo at my club, that I wouldn't want to spend every second watching him, listening to him, observing the way you go about your business. And yet, from what you're saying, clearly, they're not interested.
They don't care. Some ones, yes, but most of them, no. But for me, it's not surprise me. Don't surprise me because they're not going to have longevity careers, in my opinion. It's impossible. It's impossible to see, for example, my generation, you see many players, they reach 36, 37, 38 in a high level. I think this generation, you're going to count by your hands how many going to reach in that level, because these years of preparation, it helps a lot.
Who are the players in the world that you most admire for their mental strength, their attitude?
It's difficult question because I'm always can say what I see from my eyes. For example, if you tell me what I see, for example, in Manchester United, I can mention probably Dalot, Diogo Dalot. His example is young, but he's very, very professional. And I'm not doubt that he's gonna have longevity in the football because he's young, he's smart, intelligent, and he's very professional. You have a few ones more, but like him, it's it's difficult to say. Probably Martinez, Casemiro's 30s, but I will say Dalot.